University of Washington legend, NFL legend. Can't thank him enough for popping in here, man. One of the greatest football teams I ever got to watch, the University of Washington. Our main man, Lincoln Kennedy, joins the show. Appreciate it. Lincoln, what up, brother?
What's up, JB? What's up, man? How you guys doing, man?
Man, we're good, man. How you been? How you been, man?
You know what? Let me try to center up my camera. There we go. Better. I'm good, man. I'm living the dream. I can't complain. How are you guys doing?
Man, we're good, man. We can't complain either, brother. Can't complain, man. I got to ask you right out the gate, man. You one of the teams I watched growing up. Let me ask you something. Was that Edmond team inside with Edmond and all those guys you got drafted that year? I believe I got a stat line. You got yourself, Dana Hall, Ed Cunningham, Aaron Pierce, Orlando McKay. You had 11 drafted.
Right.
Donald Jones. Is that one of the best college lineups of all time, roster-wise?
You know, looking back is always hindsight, as they say, is always 20/20, guys. And I think that, you know, when we were in the midst of it, the chasing that dream back at UW, we were reacting from off the year before. We lost to UCLA at home. We lost our number one ranking, the potential for number one ranking. And that's what ended up Colorado and I think Virginia shared the national championship. So we were on a drive the following year to make amends and show what we were worth. I mean, we felt that we were tremendously unrespected. And that little spot in the Pacific Northwest, you know, didn't get a lot of coverage from TV and stuff like that. So to answer your question in a long about way, we were good. In my estimation, I don't know if we knew how good we were, if that makes sense. We just wanted to go out and beat people up. And we did it with a tenacious defense and an effective offense. And we could score on anybody and we could stop anybody. And that just made us champions.
No doubt. You and Miami shared that. I think the year before was Georgia Tech, Colorado.
Oh, Georgia. Okay, I can't remember who shared with Colorado.
I think that was when that's when it started, huh? The shared title thing kind of started. Yeah.
Kind of went, and that, you know, trickled into the BCS and eventually evolved to what we see today. So it is what it is. It's an after effect. But, you know, look, I know we go back then and people have talked about that. Would you have played that Miami team? And I would have said, hell yeah, I would have loved to play that damn Miami team. We'd love to play anybody. We play anywhere in any kind of conditions. We would have taken them on.
Hell yeah. Let me ask you something. Let everybody know what do you got going now? What's going on? What you got in the fire right now?
Currently I'm the color commentator for the Raiders radio network. So I do all the Raiders games. I also do, some spot games on Pac-12, Pac-12 is defunct. Big Ten network, Big Ten network, and do a little bit of college football. I'm an entrepreneur and I own a couple restaurants. I'm still trying to get my cigar line back up. So working on a few things, but just being a single father, I got one more in high school. Sophomore in high school, and then when he's done, you know, hey, life goes on. So it is what it is. Just trying to do the best I can.
I'm redoing my cigars too, man. I know Trap, Travis and stuff. I know we had that group. You had that group text for a while. You were in all the cigar stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna have Trap on, man. Trap and we had our Lindell White on last week, and and Lindell was talking about his SC team versus the Miami team, and then. Right. Trap got involved on Instagram, was like, and even though he played at Florida State, was like, man, we play that team and boo. Yeah. And he was like, I'll take Miami all day. So they've been arguing and shit on Instagram. So it's been funny. But yeah, I love the sticks, man. I remember you had yours. What are you doing with that now? You trying to get it back in flow? Or
and since COVID has happened, the world has just been terribly disrupted. And when you come to distribution and everything else, so
that's why
a little bit about my cigar. My cigar was a tri-region blend. I got my binders from Ecuador, I got my Lajero leaf from Dominican Republic, and I got my fillers from Colombia. And I put a patent on that blend. But I did, guys, I never did it for a business wise. I did it because I enjoyed cigars.
Yeah.
I created a patent because I wanted to protect my brand, and I never sold out to any of the big companies or anything like that. I kept it very boutique-ish, very low key. Didn't have a lot of cigars in brick and mortar stores. Most of it was online.
Same with me.
The way I respected true cigar connoisseurs is that if they put an order in, I had a family of Cuban-born rollers that would roll them up and we send them out. It's fresh. Long story short, it takes my tobacco anywhere from 3 to 5 years to age. And I lost two stocks full of storage in Florida with the hurricanes over the past decade, and so it kind of set me back financially. And then when COVID happened and the world shut down, it's trying to respond. So again, long story short, trying to figure out a way I can get it back up. Right now, it's just too pricey and too costly with kids in college and life moving on. You know what I mean?
Hey, we had the same story, man. Exactly what I had. Mine was all Nicaraguan triple leaf, and it was the same thing. I had to ship it from there to Florida here, and then I distributed from here. But it's crazy, man. It's hard. It's a business, like you know how it is.
Business. Oh yeah,
it's crazy. This Smitty, man, he works over at Fox with everybody, man. So he loves your work too. So we just wanted.
Smitty, what's up, brother? How you doing, man?
I'm doing great, man. It's great to have a legend on here. Of course, man. And I just want to dive in. It's kind of keep talking about the football side, man. The current landscape of college football, NIL, just transfer portal. What's just your overall view of where the game is today? Are you a fan of the current system? Do you wish it went back to kind of back in the days when you were playing? I guess what's your overall thoughts and view on the landscape of college football?
Well, I've always felt that college athletes should have been compensated more than a scholarship check, mainly because of the money they were bringing in. But I was never smart enough to figure out a way to do it. And so I told people in all my travels, like, look, the kids need to be compensated. They're hand over fist. They're making money for everyone else. They should be making money for themselves. So, I foresaw this kind of getting to not as out of hand as I think it is right now, but I saw it when they started with the graduate transfers. Because with the graduate transfers back in the day, it allowed kids to continue their careers long after they graduated, long after their eligibility was up at that particular university, allowed them to continue. And so I kind of felt that you were heading for an amateur free agency, if that makes sense. That's exactly where it is right now. It is amateur free agency. And since last year's ruling, or it was maybe 2 years ago, against the junior colleges, counting against your overall eligibility, it allowed kids to stay in college much, much longer, because if they went to they started junior college, they still had their 4 years and plus of eligibility that they could sort of, manufacture and manipulate around the country. We saw more and more guys coming out of college 26, 27, 28 years old, and they're not doing a mission like the LDS or the Mormons. You know what I mean? So guys are staying in longer, and kids are getting paid. Look, I'm all for kids getting paid, name, image, and likeness. But here's the thing. It's not consistently fair for everybody in every university. What I had to tell my son, who's trying to approach the college age, there are schools that don't do NIL because they value their degree over compensating you. You have to take that in consideration. More importantly, what I try to teach my kids is you're not going to be one of those kids that bounce around from university to university chasing a check. Your ass is there to get an education. And that's all I want. I could give a damn if you play another down of sports. Your ass is to get an education, because that's what I truly value, and that's what I value for you. So as long as people keep that in perspective, I don't mind these kids chasing the dream. But, and I say this with a big but, because I have a big but. Anyway, I say this because these young people need to learn about money. Their parents need to learn about money. You need to learn that you just increased your tax bracket. You got to pay, these are things that most kids, I didn't know when I was 17, 18 years old. There was nobody in my back pocket to tell me, hey, if you get this, you got to do. No, because of course it wasn't around them. But now these kids got to be aware of it. I'd go on these campuses when I'm doing college games, guys. I see these guys driving around these Rolls Royce trucks. I see, freshmen driving around, high-end cars. And it's not alumni giving them benefits. It's from NIL. And look, you enjoy what you deserve and what you've earned, and your name, image, and your likeness. You're making money off of it, but be financially smart. Don't walk out of that university or any university that you're attending without a degree, without a knowledge of how to make yourself better on that next level, because it won't last forever.
Nah, I wish more fathers would do that. That's the problem, man. We got these cats that just running rampant out here.
Check chasing.
Yeah, that's what they do, man. It's crazy. Yeah. I got a personal question. Like here, you're born on the East Coast, but raised in San Diego, right here where I'm at, kind of not too far away. I know you went to Morse. Let me ask you, what's more important to you, getting inducted into the College Hall of Fame or the Rose Bowl Hall of Fame? I think you just got inducted into that, a couple years ago. Is the Rose Bowl still have the same lore as it did now with the
to me it does
playoff? Okay,
to me it does. No, to me it's the granddaddy of them all. I remember listening to Keith Jackson, and one of my favorite Rose Bowls is when Keith Jackson was doing our Rose Bowl game, and
Dean O'Brien.
I think it was, yep, exactly. And he was talking. I loved Keith Jackson's voice. May he rest in heaven, and peacefully. But it's still important to me, and the value. Some of the old traditions, if it wasn't broke, you didn't have to change it, in my opinion, guys. But it's long gone. It's the moneymaker view. Look, the NC2A eventually, in my opinion, wants to be like the NFL. They want to have an AFC and an NFC, and they want to meet in a granddaddy mall in the big Super Bowl. So the bowls become sort of obsolete with the college football playoff. It was long overdue what we saw this past year, guys. The fact that they had more teams integrated in the college football playoff. But from this point forward, one, they've got to figure out a way to make it better competition because it wasn't fun to watch. Nobody wants to watch a blowout in a playoff game. So you've got to find a way to make that better. You got to sort of piece that together. But it's sad that the old traditions like the Rose Bowl, the Orange Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, all those big bowls that we used to love on New Year's Day are now kind of irrelevant.
That's sad as hell. Me and Smitty and I argue this all the time. Like, man, more doesn't obviously mean better. It's like less. Addition by subtraction is really a real thing. I want to ask you real quick. We're talking about this whole thing. Do you think that what you just said, AFC, NFC sort of model, abolishes the NCAA eventually as far as football being actually hands-on in football? I know Nick Saban vouched for it a few years ago. I said it to Smitty a couple years ago. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if they got out of there, especially now as they play judge, jury, and executioner and still haven't paid a kid yet in the history of the NCAA. Do you see that being abolished soon as far as the football teams, these big power conferences going and being independent as far as that's what Saban kind of said?
Well, I mean, that's certainly what you're heading for because I think what's next is going to be unionized. There's litigation in works right now that's supposed to somewhat cap the amount of spending that universities can have on their sports program. I don't know how you enforce that. I don't know. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? But it's reported. Now, with that being said, what's next? Once the government gets involved, what's next? You're going to have the NC2A become somewhat unionized. And now you're going to have people who's going to run the union. And now you're going to have people who's arguing for the union rights collectively versus the TV rights versus the people that have exploited them in the ways that they've did for many, many years. So it to me, it seems like a big O cluster boop, you know what I mean? Heading to down the line. So I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know how you put the top back on what's created because we've got young men and women in college right now making seven figures.
Yeah.
So what's the motivation, one, to go to the next level? Look forward to the next level, whether it be NBA, NFL, whatever. Look forward to the next level. And two, how do you put a cap back on that? Because I know parents in the recruiting process right now who are literally going to university and saying, well, this university offered us $75,000. What are you doing? Give a damn about education. What are you paying me?
Hey, Lincoln, Texas.
That's what's causing the sort of downhill, effect, if you will, and the snowball effect, which is making it bigger and grander than anybody can contain or control, in my opinion.
Hey, Texas is rumored to spend $45 million this year on their roster.
Yeah, exactly.
Like what?
That was like a lot like Ohio State last year. I reported, I think it was $22 million.
Yeah,
on their national champion. But that's what you got to do.
And then they won the Natty though. So now people are like, well, it's worth it, right? It makes sense, right? It's crazy.
I had a chance to talk with a coach who was in well-named. I won't share it because it was kind of a confidential conversation. But he said, look, when it comes down to what we see today in NC2A sports, it becomes the golden rule. The people that have all the gold make all the rules. And you've got influencers that aren't necessarily attached. They might be alumni, but if they have the money to spend, they're going into the AD's departments. They're going into their offices, the regents' offices, and making demands. I don't like that coach. I want to get another coach. Well, you want my money? This is what you do. That's a bad combination.
Even when it comes to recruiting, Sark's told me stories, crazy stories. Like these cats, I got to take who?
Yeah.
I got to take the play. I got to take Darnell Smith.
Yeah. Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's like it is like the Dodgers in baseball. It's like it's becoming a huge, and I don't know, Smitty, like big fish eat little fish. We talk about all the time. I don't know how many Ohio States, Oregons, and Texases are out there. I know A&M has a lot of money. I know there's some other schools out there that got money. But, like, that becomes like I guess, whoever's able to do so. The mid-majors are gone. Look at college basketball. There's no more mid-major upsets no more. Duke spent $22 million also on college basketball roster.
Because every year you're using the transfer portal to build your team.
Yeah.
I mean, you're going out, you're free agents as much as possible. It's for college sports, college coaches, it's become year round. Because once you do your recruiting, once you do your signing transition, once you do your season, now you're back into the transfer portal. I really think they need to put a cap on the transfer portal first. They need to put a small window on the transfer portal to really make these kids think about if this is something they want to do. Because I'm seeing kids in my walks, and I don't know about you guys, but I'm seeing kids all around like, oh, man, you told me I was going to be a starter here. I'm not a starter. Well, I'm jumping ship.
There's kids who's going to like 4 schools within a calendar year.
Yes.
Like
that to me is a shame.
Yeah, and I've said it before. It needs to go back to the rule where if you transfer, you got to sit out a year because that's going to make the players think like, do I really want to leave?
Hold them accountable.
Sit out for an entire year. It holds them accountable because right now there's no discipline. There's nothing that can really harm them from leaving. Right. It's like, why not leave? It's like, okay, if I don't like it, leave again. That
I'm feeling sorry for the universities, but I've yet to understand how the rule affects when you give a young man a young woman a scholarship and they leave. You don't get that scholarship back, as I was told initially. You see what I'm saying? So you're without that scholarship. So you honestly give a kid a chance at a higher education, then they jump ship, you lose that scholarship, then that chance goes. So now your roster becomes dwindled. Your scholarship opportunities become even less to give to those kids. That's how I understand it. Now I might be wrong, but that's the way I saw it. And I don't know when they could recoup that scholarship to probably try to give it to someone else, or do they even bother?
And to that same point, like the NIL money too. I mean, I don't know the process as far as like when are these kids getting paid? Like, are they getting paid like a signing bonus? Like,
right.
You pay me $2 million to even walk into the door? Because if that's the case, if that same kid transfers, is that money going back to the collective, or that kid just keeps hopping around, just gathering money at every school that they stop by? Like, it's just the whole system is this. It's messy right now, to say the least.
No doubt. Hey, let me ask you something. Did Zach go to SC with Sark? Because did you guys have a relationship with Sark when he was at UW?
Yeah, I had a relationship with Sark when he was at UW, and Zach was there but he initially went there when Lane Kiffin was a coach.
Yeah.
And I remember telling Zach when he was recruited, we were talking about Washington and other schools, and I gave him my insight, and I told him straight up, I was like, look, I love you to death. SC is a fine school, and you will do well there. But I just know Lane's not going to be there that long. It's the world of college sports as I saw it. Even then, it was tumultuous, but I just knew that it was not going to last. So I was happy for Sark when he left Washington. I knew it was a job that he had to take. I talked to Sark about it. I'm sad to see the way he did, but I'm so glad to see Sark rebound the way he has at Texas. He's a great guy, cleaned up himself, cleaned up his life, and he makes the greatest impressions upon young men. So I'm very proud of Sark.
No doubt. Yeah, I spent a lot of time up at UW with him, man. That school, that situation football-wise is one of the most unique.
It is.
Like, him and all the staff would come off the boat from their house in Bell. They come down the lake and pull right up to the coach's office on the boat. And I'm like, what? You would leave this shit? You want to leave this? Like, hell, that's the most beautiful campus, man, I've ever, like, in the country, in my opinion. It's just crazy.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah, no doubt. No doubt, Smitty.
Let's talk some Raiders, man. Yeah. NFL draft just ended not too long ago. Raiders, picked up, a Genty, amongst some others. I guess, how do you feel preseason wise? The addition of Pete Carroll, you got Genty, they're making some big changes. Do you feel like the Raiders is trending upwards right now?
Well, first of all, let me just preface this comment by saying I don't put much credence in the rookies. You got to show improvement. This is a different level. This isn't college. I don't care what you did in college. This is a different level. And this is a grown man's game. So you got to show me that you're prepared to compete on this level. And it's not just about starting off strong. It's about completing a whole season. It's like I told my son, Zach, when he went in the league. It's not about getting to the league. It's about understanding the business well enough to know how you stay there. So with that being said, I'll say this. I thought the Raiders did a great job with the draft picks they had and acquired through via trades because they addressed the needs of the teams. Now, how does that translate into it? I don't know. It's a wait and see project because here you are coming in with a new coach, Pete Carroll, a new system, Chuck Kelly, and new players at the key spot, most notably quarterback, Geno Smith. And you add Genty and you add to the full running back room. But I know because of Genty's size, it's probably going to be full running back by committee, which is prevalent in the league today. There's very few guys that carry the load. And I kind of equated back to my history playing with Napoleon Kaufman. I played with him at Washington. He also joined me. I joined him in Oakland when I got traded over. And Napoleon was a smaller guy, young man too at the time. And more importantly, Napoleon 1 year, he was thick. He was thick.
I played him in high school. I had to play him in high school.
But here's the thing. Joe Bugles last year as a head coach, and may Joe rest in heaven, was a great coach. He gave the ball to Napoleon over 300 times. And I remember having conversations with Napoleon. Dude, why are they running it? Because you are their weapon. I'm going to do my best as offensive lineman to open up holes for you, but I can't guard you from every hit. You're going to get hit. So, and it wore him down quickly. So I say that to say this. Genty's a little small guy, not a big guy, but he's thick. He can take a pounding, and I think he'll be good. He'll be electrifying to watch. I'm excited. But right now, the Raiders at the bottom of their division looking up. You got Kansas City, who's been playing in multiple Super Bowls. You've got the rise of Denver seems better now that they've got their quarterback in their situation. You know what the Chargers are doing with Harbaugh. They're consistent. So while the Raiders are at the bottom looking up, they've got a big uphill battle. I can't possibly, prospect or project what the Raiders are going to do until I see all these pieces come together. And it's going to be a long time because most of these teams don't play their guys in preseason. Preseason is going out the window. So you're playing your 2s and 3s. But I will say this. There is not going to be any success gained if this team doesn't find a way to solidify and clarify its offensive line. Because the offensive line makes the engine go. Yep. And this offensive line has been tattered, has been beat up, has been inconsistent over the last couple of years for the Raiders. You're not going to have a glimpse of success if you don't fix that offensive line. As far as the identity goes, it's a defensive-led team. There's no doubt about it. Max Crosby and this is a defensive-led team. But defense is only going to get you so far. Defense might be able to win some championships, but offense has got to score some points to make sure you win those football games.
No, now, are you living in Vegas during the season for that or no?
No, I live in Phoenix, which is a lot like Vegas, so I like my house.
I'm always down there, man, Scottsdale. So I know Tank Johnson, former UW.
Yep, Tank.
He's down there. Erlacher. They're all down there by you.
Yeah.
Let me ask something. Why did you end up going back to the Arena League? Did you have something to say? I want to play football again? Because obviously you were getting older at that time, right?
No doubt.
When was that? 08, 09?
Yeah, I think it was 06 or 07, one of those days, one of those years. Look, this, guys. If you played sports, once you no longer playing sports and you watch sports, I call it's the itch.
Yeah.
You have the itch. I can still do this. I retired because I was mentally and physically burnt out when I did in 04. After coming back from the Super Bowl in 02, we, us veterans were talking amongst ourselves, said we're going to have another chance. The season was disastrous. It was 4-12. And I knew that Bill Callahan was going to be let go. I knew I didn't want to go through another coaching change. I was just tired. Sitting on my ass for a couple of years, I got that itch. I started working out. I got my weight down. I was back in shape, and I'm looking at these guys on TV, and now I'm seeing sort of a transformation of offensive linemen, not necessarily conducive to playing well because the college situation was changing. There were more pass-happy teams. There were a lot of offensive linemen in the league that couldn't block. I'm like, and then look, mind you, there's a difference between blocking and just getting in someone's way and making them go around you. So when I'm sitting there looking at them, I'm like, wait a minute, I think I can do this. So I talked to my agent, and he's like, well, look, they haven't seen you in a couple of years. The Raiders were not interested. Mike Lombardi and Al, before he passed, they said, no, we're going to go in a different direction. I had a tryout with the Cowboys and a couple other teams. But my agent was like, hey, no one's seen you in a while. You need to play some football. I'm like, what are the other options? He's like, well, why not arena? And at the time, I thought arena, you had to play both ways. I'm like, I'm not playing both ways. He's like, no, they've narrowed it down. You could play specifically one way. I'm like, okay, let's give it a try. So that's how I wound up back in the league, well, in arena playing. Had a great time with the Dallas team before I got traded over to Tampa Bay. But I learned right after that season over, I was like, oh, I'm done. There's no more football.
Hey, was James Fuller coaching in the Dallas team?
No, it was James? Oh yeah, I remember James, but it wasn't. No, it was oh goodness, why am I drawing this blank?
James was my arena league coach.
Will. What's Will's last name? I can't forget.
You went to where? You went to Tampa.
Yeah.
I was in the arena league too. James was my coach.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So I knew he was in Dallas for a minute before he took that expansion team Philly by Jaworski.
Right. Yeah.
And
look, to each his own. You know, the arena had a specific fan base. I appreciate the guys that these were guys that felt they should be in the NFL and, you know, worked hard, worked their butts off and stuff like that. So I commended them for that. But the conditions, I had Tim Markham and Tampa Bay guys. We used to caravan the parks to find a place to practice. You know what I mean? They had this about 40 yards of turf they would roll out in the garage, and we would practice in the garage. This were the conditions, and this totally blew my mind. I had never seen anything like this. But you know where you can get in, and then we're going to play a game, and we got kicked out of the stadium because we shared the arena with the Tampa Bay Lightning, the hockey team. Obviously, they take precedent. So I mean, all this stuff was going on. I'm like, what is this a league?
It's not organized at all.
What is this?
That was league wide because the same shit happened in LA and everywhere else.
Yeah.
Nah, it was. We played at West LA Junior College.
Wow.
Like that's the practice, and then we played in Staples. We played at Staples.
Yeah.
But it was crazy. Yeah. Hey, real quick, your battles in college. Your battles in college versus Edmond. How good was he?
Edmond was a beast, but we didn't see each other that often because he's on the inside. I'm an outside.
That's what I figured. I was going to ask you. I didn't think you went against him at all.
No, I went against the speedy guys, and to this day, you know, the Jamal Fontes and Donald Jones and all those guys. You know, those guys are mad at me because they wouldn't look good at one-on-ones against me. It's not happening. You're not coming.
You shadowed that.
Not happening.
Like Smitty before the show, Smitty was like, "Yeah, I would love to just go one rep."
You're
5'8", homie.
Listen, I was a deep tackle. I you know, from the MAC, Ball State, chirp. You know, I'm 5'11 and a half in my prime, 285 solid, explosive, strong as an ox. I'm just a competitor. I would have loved to know what it would have been like to go against a guy like yourself. Win or lose, I'm a competitor.
Well, there's nothing wrong with that. And I apprete and I respect that. You know, quick story is that this past weekend I was playing in a poker tournament.
Did we lose?
There was a tall brother there, and he was like, once he found out who it was, he's like, oh. He's like, man, I think I could take you. I said, take me where? Like, where are we going? He's like, nah, man, I can get you. Get me where? I said, oh, no. I said, look, I ain't no easy win. And it's like I tell my kids all the time because they want to practice play because I got 3 boys. I'm like, I ain't no easy win. I know ways of choking you before you feel it.
Hell yeah.
I would choke the life out of you before you feel My son Zach one year.
Guys don't get it.
No, they don't get it.
These youngsters don't get it, man.
JB always goes at my height, saying I'm short. I actually like being a short D tackle.
Well, I like going to it aids you in your way, but trust me.
Immediately. I'm in your chest right now,
Lincoln. I'm gonna tell you. Here's what I do. Once you get up under me, you put all that weight forward. I'm gonna do what we call trap you, and I'm gonna knock down your hands and fall back and watch you fall on your face. And then I'm gonna avalanche.
I'm already feeling the hips coming.
Okay, well then But I'm moving my feet with you, so I'm not gonna let you easily slide by me like that. Again, I'm not no easy win. I just studied this game. I know what you guys can do.
I don't know.
We can do it. All right. Just letting you know.
Hey, you ever seen a pit bull in a chihuahua?
I got plenty of grass around my yard.
Pit bull in a chihuahua? I ain't either, but it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. Hey, Lincoln, man, I can't thank you enough for hopping on with us, man. Best of luck to you and the family, man. Stay safe. Hopefully we get you on again during the year. Maybe talk some Raiders, man, during the season. And much success to you. Hope you get the cigar line back, man. I'm trying to, man. We'll have to talk.
And JB, one last thing before I let you go. First of all, I'm glad to be with you both of you guys. JB, I saw that little segment you had on it was put on I think social media about the thick girl. You remember the picture of the thick girl?
Thank you.
She figured
and your man or one of your man was like, you asked my opinion. I think she's fat, and it was I was right there with you. Bro. I was like, no, that's prime, right? That's prime beef right there.
Hey, Bailey, bring your ass in, Bailey.
Yeah, bring his young ass in.
Hey,
He's young. He's 22 years old.
Lincoln, this kid is a huge fan of yours. He's from Seattle.
What's up, man? How you doing?
Played O-line.
Okay.
Yeah, he played O-line, and I.
He's a producer.
I'm ashamed. I was ashamed in this brother that day.
Yeah, see, they asked my opinion. I answered it, and my opinion's wrong, I guess. But
look, your opinion is your own. But I will tell you, from a man's standpoint, there are things worth watching, and there are things worth seeing. That right there was prime grade A beef right there. That's some good stuff right there.
Man.
Exactly. Look at Smitty.
No, I love it.
We need no sauce on that.
No. The finger licking good. I'm taking it. Yeah. That's that good stuff. But it's good being with you guys. Good luck for you and everything, man. JB, continued success. Smitty,
no doubt, brother. We'll have to hook up soon, man. Appreciate you, man. All right, brother.
Next time I'm in Phoenix, we'll set it up that one-on-one. Appreciate you.
Bro, ain't nothing but air and opportunity. And I just sucked up all the air. Now you got the opportunity. Grown ass man. I'm sitting here waiting. I ain't going nowhere.
Hey, I'm gonna come out and see you, man. I'm always out there, so we'll hook up.
Look me up. You got me, brother. I'll talk to you guys soon. Be well. All right, now.